Welcome to the Darkstream. Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com. And, I'm going to have to say Streamlabs OBS because we are trying an experiment here, and it may or may not be working. It may or may not be showing up anywhere. And so it's entirely possible that I am talking to myself for all I know. So I will keep going here for about a minute or two to see if anyone is actually going to show up. It looks like we have one viewer. So these counts are not necessarily, I've noticed in the past that counts are not necessarily all that accurate, but we will have to see. And so this is part of the building new SJW-resistant platforms. The pupper is in bed. The pupper is asleep. And so I'm glad to hear that we got notified that we may or may not be multi-streaming. In fact, what I would appreciate if you're watching this on YouTube is if you could go over to, what is that? Go over to stream.me, look up the Voxday channel, and see if anything is showing there. Because theoretically, it's possible that this is going through restream.me and is going to both places. Now, obviously, it's showing up in at YouTube, so that's good. But I don't know if it's showing up at the other place. So send a comment to let me know that you're going to go check, and then come back and come back to YouTube and leave a comment and let me know. It's interesting. The strange thing, and one of the things I don't understand about the streaming system is the way it's set up with YouTube and stuff, is that for some reason it will show up with the wrong title. Like I would go into my creator content and set the image up, the Darkstream cover up, this one, and then it'll pick it up that in the title. Otherwise, I have to go back and put it in there. So it'd be nice if I can figure out how to actually put it in through Streamlabs and just have everything pick up from there. But this is good news. This is good that we are now functioning on stream.me as well as YouTube. We're able to hit them both at the same time. And like I said, I'm anticipating that next week we're going to be able to, not next week, towards the end of next week, we may be able to up the video quality as well. Sigma Zero says it's working on stream.me, so you might want to check. Don't look for Darkstream, look for Voxday. Okay, it's stream.me/Voxday. Oh, and thank you. Eincrew says the YouTube thumbnail must be set manually, unfortunately. So, are you streaming through stream.me and then piggybacking that through YouTube? No, I'm actually I'm using Streamlabs OBS, and it's simultaneously streaming to both YouTube and to stream.me. As you've probably noticed, YouTube seems to be gray listing my videos there, my channel there, at least initially, because I did an earlier dark stream this afternoon with the dog, and it was interesting to see that although the videos from 2 days ago and the day after before that both had regular recommendations, the new one was again grayed out and only had one weird nominally children's oriented video. So there's enough funny business going on with YouTube that unfortunately, and subscribe to Vox Day there as well, because we're going to give ourselves a much stronger. Oh, I see. I was wondering, what are these comments? I don't even understand what these comments are. Yeah. So anyhow, apparently we're having issues on YouTube. Is anyone having these issues on Stream.me? That would be interesting to know. So, we need to find out whether. Okay, so lag is okay. What that indicates to me is that there's probably lag somewhere on my end, and so even though I've got a very good internet connection that should have no problem with this whatsoever, I suspect that there is some issue on my end because they just it's not the simultaneous streaming. We had the same problem earlier today. So anyhow, I'm going to look into that next week. I don't know how to see if there's any drop frames on the Streamlabs side. So we've never had lag before, and these are the first Darkstreams that I've done since they switched out my router. And so, and I did have some other issues with certain sites, so I'll look into that. The system is supposed to be set up to be running extremely smoothly, and so if it's not, then obviously there's some kind of some issue. It's probably on my end. So don't blame YouTube. Don't blame Stream.me. Now that we're simul streaming, we can tell that if an issue is on one channel or another. But like I said, regardless, I would encourage you to subscribe to the stream.me/VoxDay channel as well as the YouTube channel, because as we saw with the Ralph retort, as we've seen, glad to hear the volume level is good. We've upped our game on the audio side. I actually broke out the old, you can see it's the old Rode NT. It's very, it's very, what do you call it? Very old school. I've had this for a long time. If you're having trouble with the stream at stream.me, go ahead and reload. We seem to be having some internet issues. It's probably on my connection then, so don't worry about it. We'll get it taken care of. So, yeah, it almost certainly on the connection side, because Adam said YouTube shut him out, then Stream.me messed up, now YouTube is back. And so what that indicates to me is that it's a problem on our end. YouTube appears to be a little bit ahead of Stream.me, and so that might be why the delay showed up there first. But anyhow, we're working on a number of other new platforms hitting different areas besides Infogalactic. Okay, we're currently working on a new store that is going to give us increased independence from Amazon. We've been hearing that there's going to be new Amazon issues, and so if you want to, we definitely encourage you now to use the Castalia House Direct Store if you're getting our books. We're actually in the process of pulling all of our books out of Kindle Unlimited, out of Kindle Select. We are looking into the possibility of providing some sort of Castalia Unlimited, Archaven Unlimited subscriptions. And so, and then we're also going to be providing our own crowdfunding solution. And so all of these things are designed to free us from dependence on the SJW converged digital economy. Now, we can't necessarily get completely free of it, but what we can do is we can utilize SJW-resistant providers, SJW-resistant ISPs, payment processors, and so forth. And that's what you have to do. You can't just go out there and say, hey, I'm going to be right of center and I'm going to build up my business. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be political. What we've seen that, what was really useful today from seeing what happened to Ethan Ralph is the fact that they don't care if it is something that is helping cancer-stricken children. The only thing they care about is trying to destroy all people and institutions that resist or refuse to submit to the SJW narrative. You need to understand that. And no, VJ says we need to build a coalition of free speech powers. No, free speech is not the issue here. Free speech has always been a weapon utilized against the West. Look up the history of the free speech movement. Read the history of the freedom of expression by J.B. Bury. And what you will see is that free speech was merely a rhetorical weapon that was utilized against the Christian West. It was merely a means of attempting to de-Christianize the West, to sever the West from its Christian roots. And so, now I don't have a problem emotionally with free speech. My natural sympathies tend to incline to free speech. My blog has historically been one of the most free-ranging discussions of any blog. That's why it's popular. And so, but the concept has been perverted. And so you have this system now where people who claim to be practicing and defending free speech are actually utilizing their power to attack the truth and yet protect things that are not even remotely political speech, like women doing menstrual art and so forth. It's total nonsense. And so, what you need to understand is that free speech is a weapon. It is not a principle. It is not an objective. Truth is what matters. You don't have the right to lie to other people. That's not something that we should be protecting. I'm not building the infrastructure. I'm simply commenting on the need for it. There are literally hundreds of other people who are responsible for that. The Burn Unit are far more responsible for Infogalactic than I am. I provide a little bit of vision. I provide maybe a bit of design, a bit of concept, and so forth. But everything else that is done by you guys. And I recognize that. I understand that. I will not take any credit when the credit rightfully belongs to you guys. I'm happy to take credit for the stuff that I've done. I'm happy to take credit for the books that I've written. But everything else that we've done, from Castalia House to Infogalactic, to Arkhaven, all of these things are built by you guys and the other Dread Elk, the other supporters, the other backers. Now, VJ does have a point. You can't speak the truth without a space within which to speak it. That's true. That's absolutely true. And so, I mean, just so you understand, I am not enthusiastic about clamping down on the speech of others, except when they're lying, except when they are attempting to defame and libel others. You know, when they are using their, it's the eternal dilemma of the liberal. You know, they're constantly having to try to walk this fine line between, well, we want to let everyone vote, but we won't let you vote for things we don't like. Well, we want to let you vote, but if you vote for that, then we're going to have a judge overturn it. Well, we want to let you vote, but we don't like how you voted, so we're going to make you vote again. You know, that is not truth. That is not honest. And so the Enlightenment approach, the liberal approach, the neoliberal approach, whatever you want to call it, it has completely failed. It has proven itself to be false. So again, don't look at something that was a weapon and take that and adopt that as one of your principles. It's not a principle. I get a funny feeling that every time a commercial is telling me to vote, they really mean vote Democrat. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Someone said, what do you think about the From Bannon debate? I was vaguely aware that there was going to be a Bannon From debate, but I didn't know it was last night, and I didn't pay any attention to it. It might make sense to read it, because you know I've interviewed From and talked to From. He's not stupid. Bannon obviously is a very interesting guy, so I'll have to take a look at it. Let's see. Yeah, and that's a good principle. If they don't think I can do the same, I feel no guilt or remorse about not extending the courtesy to them. That's absolutely right. The right needs to be comfortable with engaging in reprisals. You know, the whole notion of civilization and manners is all about allowing people to have differences of opinion without trying to kill each other. Once somebody reveals themselves to be a barbarian, you no longer need to treat them by civilized rules. TB88 says, Vox, I've been listening in on Comicsgate streams. They disavow you. I'm shocked. And complain about your imprint idea, etc. Are they still going on about that? My goodness. But then they complain about a lack of infrastructure and networking to coordinate and ship comics. Well, that's very funny to me, because we have provided all of that. We've got all of that. I mean, just so you understand, if they were doing their Indiegogo campaigns with us, if they were working with us, they wouldn't even have to do all that packing and shipping themselves. We've got everything set up. Total turnkey system. And yet they can't even imagine that being possible. You know, they have no idea how far along we are getting on some of this stuff. I'm going to have some announcements next week, and they're probably going to be somewhat shocking to the Comicsgaters. It's nothing negative, but we campaign with us. I'm saying that if they published with us, they could do their Indiegogo on their own. 2VS shut it down. Clearly 2VS shut it down. No, we have some connection issues. I think they're on my end. Don't worry about it. Just hang tight. Remember that all of this will show up just fine in the replay. Okay? Hopefully we're going to get this taken care of. And for those of you who haven't, who tuned in later, I encourage you to subscribe to stream.me/VoxDay. That's going to be the backup stream since YouTube, there's been some unusual activity on the YouTube channel. So it'll be interesting to see how long these things stay up. Especially, I'm anticipating that there's going to be a lot more deplatforming after the blue wave fails to arrive and the SJWs take out their anger and frustration on everybody they can get a hold of. Do you read the comments at stream.me? Well, I don't know if the comments are coming in here from both or what. I mean, I signed up for stream.me about an hour ago. So maybe one of you can tell me, one of you watching this on stream.me, maybe you can tell me if your comment is showing up here, if there's any way for you to indicate that. Like, tell me that you're sending a comment from stream.me so I can see it, and then in the chat, and we'll see where it's from. So the Bannon versus Frum debate was civic nationalist versus the neocon. Yeah, that's why I think it's funny that Bannon is always talked about as if he's, some sort of major nationalist right figure. Because like Trump, he's a civic nationalist. He's not a true nationalist. So, I was asked a question. Have you heard of Jay Dyer and your thoughts? I have heard of Jay Dyer because people keep bringing him up on the Darkstream. I have never read him. I have no interest in him. I don't know anything about him. And so, okay, it looks like I don't have access yet to the stream.me comments, so I probably need to set that up properly in Streamlabs. We'll just have to look into it and see. So, Frum argued from fear, whereas Bannon was hopeful. Well, of course Frum is afraid. Their whole vision, the neoliberal world order has failed. The neocons are being driven from the Republican Party, and they're unwelcome in the Democratic Party. So there's nowhere for them to go. That's why you're seeing such epic hissy fits from people like Ben Shapiro, from people like Dennis Prager. They know the game is up. The whole reason that Jordan Peterson exists is in order to try to corral the nationalists, to try to gatekeep them and try to keep young American men from gravitating to nationalism in the same way that the young European men are. So, no, I haven't gotten my Streamlabs All-Star jacket yet. I'll have to ask them about that. Let's see. What do you think about the Starship Trooper government in which only those who serve the Federation are granted citizenship and the right to vote? I think that is seriously problematic, especially given the way that the military likes to recruit from outside the citizenship. So I think that that's a problem. How is Italy doing with the refugee crisis in 2018? They're doing very well. Matteo Salvini and La Liga are regularly gaining strength. They are taking very, very strong anti-refugee, anti-migrant, anti-immigrant stances, and it's affecting all of Europe. Jordan Peterson seems a bit more complex than that. Well, of course, that's because he's mentally ill. Jordan Peterson is a total lunatic. But to the extent that he is a rational human being, he's a globalist who is and leftist who is gainfully employed in attempting to stop the movement of young men towards Christianity and nationalism. That's his entire purpose. I ran into some actual Italians at the Olive Garden yesterday. They probably think it's perfectly good food. They just don't think it's Italian. Let's see. What's your take on the same concept of being applied to Gab? I don't believe that for a heartbeat. I mean, I think you all know that I don't think very well of Andrew Torba, but I think that Torba is a right of center Silicon Valley guy with all the problems that that would tend to indicate. I don't. I very much doubt that he's an agent of anything. The way that I don't think that he's a creation the way that Facebook and Twitter were. Why is America worried about a space force when we've got collapsing infrastructure? Because the civic nationalists haven't accepted the fact yet that their whole approach has failed. They think that America in 2018 is just as capable as the America of 1950. It's not. Collectively, America is, the United States is considerably less intelligent. They don't have the same capabilities anymore. Do you know Spanish? Very little. I've never read the works of Jorge Manrique. I do like Arturo Perez Reverte, though. I like him very much. Is nationalism racial? Nationalism is sub-racial. That's why it's so stupid when people are saying, oh, you have to be a racist to be a nationalist. I mean, pan-racism doesn't work. Pan-racism is too large. Won't most of the people in the world be anti-Christian in the end times? For a while. But in the end, the actual end, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. So you have a choice. Do it now or do it later. But you will do it. Do you know a good... We will have announcements regarding that soon. And thank you. Let's see. Yeah, one of the difference between Torba and the other guys is that Torba didn't get the subsidies grant money. Exactly. No, self-authoring is not a good effort that Jordan Peterson contributed. It's a total scam. They did a study of it, and all the claims that he was making about self-authoring are totally false. How do I reconcile nationalism with Christian evangelism? There's no problem whatsoever with reconciling the two. Nationalism is intrinsically part of the Christian worldview. Nationalism is an intrinsic aspect of the way that the Christian regards the world. I agree Peterson is a lunatic, but what would you consider as a strategy to help reach people to persuade them? Well, what I would suggest that you do is that you pre-order this and you give them a copy when the print edition comes out. Ever find the most interesting? The Roman, obviously. There's interesting elements to the Chinese, some of the Chinese empires. I'm particularly partial to Hey in Japan, but are you more accurately on the nationalist right as opposed to the alt-right? Look, all alt-right means is alternative right. It means you're not a conventional conservative and you're not a conventional libertarian. But the correct way to specifically identify what I am is nationalist right. So, oh, I see. You want that create space money. What? I've never been a fan of someone tearing down an idea when they do not have a better one to put in its place. Okay, you're just stupid. We have much better ideas to put in Jordan Peterson's place. You know what? You know what is a much better idea than the bullshit that Jordan Peterson is talking about? Number one, Christianity. Number two, nationalism. Those two things right there are much better. I'll give you, at the end of the book, I will give you 12 rules for life from me that are vastly preferable to Jordan Peterson's. He says, oh, clean your room. He says, stand up straight. Fuck that. Go lift some weights. You start embracing the iron, you're going to stand up straight. I guarantee it. Will it be coming out on Audible eventually? And remember, don't have sex with your grandmother and don't eat your cousin. Very important. Let's see. Okay, fair enough. Just, I mean, I understand your point that it is always a good idea to have an alternative rather than just pointless criticism. But what I don't appreciate is the idea that everybody's just chasing money. I'm not. This channel is not even monetized. Okay? I mean, yes, we all want to be successful. We all want to, be able to pay for the things that we want and be responsible for the people that we're responsible for. But to accuse people of being whores because they criticize someone who is deeply and intrinsically inimical to everything you stand for. I mean, that's just false. It's offensive. And, people are going to react to that. That's all I'm saying. No hard feelings. What's your take on the Faustian spirit? Are you Dr. Faust? Faust, not even a little bit. I just pre-ordered Jordanetics. Keep up the good work and Godspeed. Thank you. I hope you'll find that it's worthwhile. Yeah, I would actually agree. I think you could go back to the Roman Stoics, the original skeptics, and those are much better rules for life than what Jordan Peterson has produced. I would much rather live by the principles of Marcus Aurelius than by the principles of Jordan Peterson. So, when you say young men are moving towards Christianity, do you mean Catholic? You've missed the point. The point is they are beginning to recognize that evil exists, and they are searching for ways to oppose it. And that search is going to lead them to Jesus Christ, because the search for truth always leads to truth. Not everyone's going to make it. People are going to turn away. They're going to turn away because some of the truths are too uncomfortable for them or too difficult for them. Yes, multiculturalism is evil. No question. It's an aspect of globalism, and therefore it is intrinsically satanic. You have to understand that. Globalism is flat out evil. And not just from a spiritual perspective, not just from a Christian perspective. I can demonstrate it from a logical perspective. Yes, Seneca is a good read. So, all right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thanks for I'm glad that the experiment worked to a certain degree. I'll work on improving my internet connection here. We'll see if we can figure out what that is. And in the meantime, we'll see you at the next Darkstream.